big picture moving forward for me, just wanted to share with everybody what I'm thinking about the big picture. I see sharply increased volatility in both directions for all markets. I just think it's going to be a very volatile situation from week to week, month to month. The financial sewage that is happening behind the scenes that the public can't see yet is beginning to see behind closed doors, and the public will begin to understand just how bad things are. That's coming. Great potential for civil unrest around the world, even civil war and revolution. It's hard to believe we're contemplating these things, but especially in the United States, that someone said 10 years ago we'd be dealing with what we're dealing, I think we'd all be shocked. I also see a great awakening with regards to gold and silver by the masses. Gold and silver is still greatly misunderstood by the general investors. They don't get it, but they will. I see shocking increases in precious metal prices to the public mindset. People just aren't going to believe how high these prices are going to go. And unfortunately, I do see a great loss of liberty, privacy, and freedom as the powers that shouldn't be in this world switch us from our current failing fiat currency system to a digital one world currency. So that's basically how I'm looking at things. Right now, we're climbing a wall of worry. Gold is, after hitting a new all-time high over $2,000 an ounce, a correction was in order. It was expected. It's the reason why I was telling all my subscribers to take profits as we were hitting a lot of the stocks were hitting new all-time highs. But in my view, the yellow metal is just beginning its upward trek and will shock investors as it keeps on climbing. We're going to have these pauses. We'll have backtracking, but this is a long-term precious metals bull market that will eventually morph into a super bull market. It may take several years. I see really good times for the precious metal mining shares and gold, silver, platinum, palladium for the next 3, 4, 5 years. The opportunities to profit in our sector are enormous. And I just see a lot of undervalued situations that if you get on board now, you're not too late. The train is just leaving the station. So we've got a long way to go, and there's a lot of money to be made. I like the Richard Russell quote, as gold works its way higher and as central bank inflation continues, the great unwashed public will become increasingly concerned with protecting their purchasing power and protecting what wealth they still possess. Thus, fear of loss of wealth and purchasing power will continue to power the great bull market in real money, gold. Great quote. Wish Richard Russell was still with us. He was a great mind. And without a doubt, gold and silver are in bull markets versus all fiat currencies worldwide. So I don't see anything that's going to stop this train. There's a lot of naysayers, of course. They've been there for 22 years with me since I started Amerigold and my newsletter in 2000. They keep telling me that gold wasn't going to go over 300, 400, 500. And here we are, 1940, and still climbing and getting ready for a new breakout to yet another new high, probably in the next several weeks or a couple months. Not sure how it's going to work out with the elections yet. Some currencies will lose more than others in the coming years. As this happens, you should understand that mining shares will exponentially outperform gold, silver, and the general stock market. There's no better place to make money than in these precious metal junior mining stocks for years to come. The best thing I can do for my subscribers is to help them figure out which stocks would best fit their investment portfolio strategy. One of the hardest things I find as a newsletter writer, when I write a letter and you can't talk to people in person, is that which ones are best for their investment strategy. Some are better suited to more conservative producers. They don't like the risk of exploration stocks. Others like playing the slow moving but sure development stories. And still others like swinging for the fences like I do and want to play the very volatile exploration mining shares. Need to understand where you fit within the mining space and make your investments accordingly. Like I said, the opportunity to profit is enormous over the next 4 to 5 years. I find I need to say this a lot because we're bringing on a lot of new people. And people that have been with me for 20 years understand this, the differences between the mining shares, but this is an important factor to help new people understand. But believers in bubble world still abound. It shocks me. Most investors are still betting big on the general stock market, which is, in my view, extremely overvalued and held up by bubble money from the Fed. That is until it runs dry, which I believe will happen very soon. What few realize is that we are now in the final chapter of an investment game that will end badly. Major stock markets in many countries, including the Dow and S&P, are now finishing their bull market moves, both short-term and long-term. The fundamental position has been indicating high risk for quite some time, and the technical picture is now confirming that we are ending a major secular bull market that will turn and end up badly. So instead of protecting themselves, most investors that I see around the world, again, they're not, instead of protecting themselves against the total wealth destruction that the world will experience in the next few years as the bubble assets implode, investors continue to invest in these Dow and S&P markets that I think are greatly overvalued and will eventually become virtually worthless. This is a quote from Egon von Greyhurst, and when I read this, it shocked even me. But here's what he believes will happen when the real panic begins and people begin to realize how they could take severe losses. Stocks will decline by 75 to 95% in real terms as the stock market bubbles finally implode. Bonds will lose 90 to 100%. Property values will implode 75 to 95% with rates at 15% or higher and no credit available. Private equity investments will lose 70 to 100%, slaughtered by high leverage and rates. Cash will either be bailed in or lost with bankruptcy of banks or the degrading of the money by governments. This particular chart, I just think, really spells it out. It's as simple as, the market is booming the blue line, but profits in the corporations have been flat and stagnating for 3-4 years. So what's happening? It's just the bubble money is pumping the bubbles up bigger and bigger. And I just don't think that's a very good way to invest. I think you're setting yourself up for huge losses. We don't know the time when the bubbles will blow, but in my view, you should be investing in undervalued precious metal mining shares right now. The Dow Gold ratio, this is setting us up. This ratio has just taken a turn to move downward. It's now 14 to 1. It takes 14 ounces of gold to buy 1 share of the Dow. And I believe that this will be 1-on-1 and then less than 1-on-1. Where shall the two meet? We just don't know. But it's going to be a big move for gold, that's for sure. So this turn in the Dow will be the start of a rapid fall in the Dow Gold ratio and thus a very strong move up in gold. And I believe gold will just continue to move higher regardless of the pauses we see, because it's the only true safe haven left for investors. Eventually, as conditions worsen, they will find their way, most investors will find their way to the precious metals. The latecomers will pay top dollar if they can even get any of the physical metals, but they will come into the precious metal mining shares with a vengeance. So that's when our markets are really going to fly. The second thing that I really think is the big tell is the silver and gold overall open interest in the COMEX. Is the tell we've been talking about for years, is the open interest is the paper in the markets that is only backed by the exchange's good faith, not physical metal anymore. And when the physicals run dry, the price is going to break forward. So it's going to really break higher in a big way. Others have talked about this, the BRIC countries, the Silk Road demand, whatever you want to call it, India, Turkey, Russia, China, Brazil, 30,000 tons added since 2006 in physical gold. I think that number is actually understated because China doesn't really give us the true figures. So that's a lot of gold, and they just continue to buy every chance they get. So gold will continue to move towards one new high after another. When I say gold, I believe silver and eventually platinum, palladium will follow that. So silver's playing catch up now. Silver's a very interesting situation. We've had good luck with some of our silver stocks lately that I've recommended. I think we'll have a lot of good moves upward in silver as well as gold. So I often just talk and mention gold, but it's the whole precious metals complex I'm talking about. So there's dozens of potential black swans that could act as catalysts for this ongoing scenario. We don't know how they're going to show up. We don't know the exact timing, but I can promise you the next Lehman Brothers AIG moment is already underway. The public just doesn't know about it. And as we see these rising, continuing price of gold keep hitting a new high, the major gold producers will be raking in the profits, which will prompt buyouts of the top-notch discoveries and massive reinvestment into exploration because they need to replenish the reserves. So this is going to be so good for our market. I don't think, even the 2001 to 2006 timeframe when we made a ton of money, I think this move was going to eclipse the best we've ever seen in this market. This is the big one. So this will also be the key to further prompt more funds back into the exploration sector, which will spur merger and acquisition activity starting in 2021 and going on for several years. And John Rubino had a great quote that I really feel is just a good way to end my presentation today. He says, "We have entered a new stage which feels like one of the end stages of this whole process, when governments just give up and don't even pretend to try and control their finances anymore." Well, we are there. I think everybody can see that. That's when it will be clear to everybody that this is the case, and then your gold goes through the roof. The investment thesis ends with you loading up on precious metals and then riding the inflation or monetary reset that has to happen because of past mistakes. The consequences will show up. So the best way to roll, in my view, is to have a combination of physical precious metals that you store and protect from fire and theft yourself, and the ownership of the highest quality precious metal mining shares. Sell these overvalued markets and buy undervalued markets. I've been saying that. Those who have followed me have done quite well. Depending on your level of risk taking, you should understand where you fit within the junior mining space, whether you want to invest in exploration, development, or production, or all three. With the mining shares, remember to take profits every time they're realized. Take a preparedness mindset in the big picture, and please remember, ownership of the physical precious metals will be the ultimate form of money when the system comes crashing down. I have a bullion dealership at Amerigold.com. If anybody's looking to buy physical metal in the United States, I can take care of that for you. Just call Amerigold.com. And I have two newsletters, the Mining Speculator and the Insider Alert. If anybody would like to describe, www.discoverynexus.com.